Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fantasy Fiends podcast.
Oh my God, Stevie! How
I've
did
been
you manage to ruin the podcast in the first 10 seconds?
That was my goal. Actually, I was driving home from work today, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ruin this podcast today for Andy. Yes.
To be perfectly fair, the beginning is always the most entertaining part because you have never done the same intro twice, and so it's so much fun to see how you're going to change it up. Whether you go hello and welcome to the fantasy, and you've still never done where we talk about all things fantastical and fiendish. You've still never done that, Stevie. So next time, I'm expecting.
Okay, well, I don't have my notebook with me or anything. But anyway, I'm Stevie Collier, and I'm here with my co-host, Andy Peliquin. And we have a special guest today, and his name is RJ Batla. And, excuse me, still getting over that damn cold. And he is the author of the Terra Unum series. And he just released Against the Beast. Am I right?
Well, it's just gotten free for signing up for my email list. The latest release is Fire Eyes Awakened.
Oh, it sure is. Yeah. Oh, so you can get Against the Beast for free.
Yes, sir. Sign up for the RJB's Reader Coalition, and you can get it for free.
Yeah. Sound like a car dealership commercial.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we were when I first so the first thing you see if you are watching on YouTube or if you're listening, RJ has a wall of music, literally 3 guitars. What is that? 2 electric and 1 acoustic?
Reverse. 2 acoustic, 1 electric.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it over your shoulder.
Yeah,
and is that? And so I'm guessing you're into classic rock.
Those are all my wife's. I can't take any credit for that, but I love classic rock. But those are her albums, and those are actual LPs, just in frames.
Is that a Fender in the middle?
It is. It's a Fender Squier.
Oh, a Squier.
Nice.
Yeah, so I didn't go full blown with the Telecaster or the Stratocaster, but I got that when I was in college and didn't have any money. So
still getting a Fender though, the actual like brand Fender, I think is pretty good, right? I mean,
well, you can go with Squier is like the sub brand.
Yeah.
Of Fender. Yeah, sort of like there's the luxury brand, which is Fender, and then there's the value brand, I suppose.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a good quality guitar, but it's not a Fender. Like a proper Fender Stratocaster quality.
How do you know this stuff, Andy?
I used to be in a band. I played bass.
What?
Ooh, you look like a bass player, dude.
With the beard and stuff?
Yeah, I was in a band when I was 15, 16, and 17 for 2 years. And we played, we actually did a couple of gigs, paid gigs. One of them lasted for like 4 hours. We were hired for 3 hours, but the people enjoyed our music so much that they hired us for another hour and a half on the spot. And so we had like a 3-hour set rehearsed. And then for that extra hour and a half, we basically dragged on all of those songs. Like we repeated them and stretched them out to, like an extra 5 or 6 minutes per song to really make them last.
Holy crap. Can you still play bass?
I still remember the theory. My fingers are a lot slower, but I could, given a couple of hours, I could pick up the bass and, play a simple song or join a band or something.
What? Dude, you learn something new every day. I feel like I
play guitar.
What?
Yeah, I play like acoustic, a couple of classical songs, not a rock guy, unfortunately.
Lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, rock doesn't suit you like it does me. I'm the cool guy of the Fantasy Fiends podcast. That's why I use words like thug and gangsta.
That would make you one of those trap musicians, Stevie.
Wow. You would really crap if you listen to the music I listen to. Like it is like I'm not afraid to say it's crap, but I still like it. And Screamo. What? Who said that? I can't help it. My girlfriend introduced it to me. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be, pardon my French, a bitch and not be the one listening to metal. She's gonna be the one listening to heavy metal in this relationship. I have to listen to it too. I'm not gonna be the only one. When I met her, I was listening to reggae because I was a huge surfer. That's all I listened to was reggae, and ska.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Stevie.
Yes.
Oh no.
Anyway, then I got into metal, and then now anything below that besides classic rock is weak to me. weak sauce.
What about country music?
I don't listen to country. No, but I saw your cup though with camouflage. Your camouflage cup so deer won't see you.
Exactly right.
I'm guessing. So when you're drinking your beer out there, the deer won't see your beer.
That's exactly right. You got a shiny metal cup. It glints in the sun, and they run away.
See, he has the accent. He has the Texas accent.
Yeah, exactly. In case you guys didn't catch on, both Stevie and Ryan are in Texas. Hey, is hunting a big thing in Texas or not so much?
Un poquito.
Un poquito. I'm guessing you're sarcastic.
Un poquito.
Un poquito. Yeah. Yeah. Like, because I'm trying to hang out with my friend this weekend and he's gone. And I'm just like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm at the deer lease. And I just can't bring myself to shoot a deer. I can't do it. They're too big. They're too big of animals. It's like shooting a damn dog. I can't do it.
I feel like when I come to visit you in around Christmas time, we have to go hunting. That just seems to be the perfect option.
Hell no. No way. Part of it is like getting up early, and I'm just like, why? I mean, but I've been hunting before, and I was surprisingly good with a shotgun. But
nice.
Yeah, I was surprisingly good.
And I good instincts.
Maybe so, but I shot a few dove, and they were delicious.
They are, man.
Yeah, I could probably go dove hunting, maybe turkey hunting, quail. I could probably do that, but deer, something about it, I just can't do it. I Bambi to me, it's like I'll start naming them and stuff. I've heard like horror stories where they're not really dead, and you have to go like, that's like some real fantasy stuff right there, where you're gotta slit the deer's throat and drag it back to your cave.
yeah, that's unfortunately that is part of it though. That sometimes if a clean shot's not made or something, you do have to put them out of their misery, and that is probably one of the harder parts of it.
Is it hard?
I mean, it's hard because you don't want them to suffer. I mean, yes, you are trying to kill the animal, but you don't want. That's not the point. Is for them to suffer at all. I mean, it's putting meat on the table and having fun with your family and friends.
What sucks is I love deer meat. Oh my god. So good. So good. What's some of the best? Like deer jerky, I could live off of it, I think. And he's like, these two Texans are here.
No, I've never had deer. I've had moose. Moose sausage and moose burger. Yeah, some friends who brought some down from Canada. They go hunting every year, and every year they bring a big freezer of meat down with them.
Which was probably just one moose because they're huge.
Yeah, it's probably just one.
Yeah, exactly.
One other thing about deer hunting I don't want to do is taking the poop sack out of them. Like they say don't hit the poop sack with your knife or whatever, because have you ever heard that? Like
oh yeah, but it's really hard to actually do it. It's a lot easier to hit the stomach when you're field dressing them, but it's still not that bad. It doesn't happen very often. Even kids growing up learning, it's hard to actually hit that, and it make a really big mess, because I mean it's still in pellet form. It's not like I don't want to say, I guess, diarrhea, really. It's still in pellet form inside, so it's not a big deal.
And we got around to talking poop again.
I was just about to say it. Hey, we need to get a bell like a poop has been brought up. So I think it went poop, penis. No, it was penis, poop.
We had penis and then the sewers in the same one.
Oh, yeah. And then we brought up penis again last podcast, and now we're doing it again. So great. This is 3 days in a row. Andy, okay. All right. So this is the fantasy hunting podcast, or the hunting fiends podcast, really. So let's I'd like to start the podcast off. Andy and I like to start the podcast off with something cool that happened this week. Something cool that happened this week was we did have Lindsay Broker on. That was fun. Penises were talked about, obviously. My cool thing for the week is I did win NaNoWriMo. Yeah. I know it's not crazy for full-time authors, but for someone who's full-time working, I'm super excited about it. It's the most I've ever written in a month.
Awesome, man. Congrats.
And it's a charity. It's a charity. So it's a nonprofit organization, and I love that. That was one of the big projects that I did in college was about nonprofits. And anyway, that was my cool thing for the week. NaNoWriMo, super fun, and I'm going to keep it going. Like, I'm just going to continue doing my 1,700 words a day. It was very fun. I'm going to... It was 53,000, I believe, something around there. Yeah, I was very pleased with that, and good words too. Good. Really was working on my dialogue this month. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. What about you guys?
Well, I am excited because I've today started the official outlining of my new series, my military
Sweet.
fantasy series. Yeah, I've been, writing down ideas for a couple of weeks now, but also doing a lot of studying. I studied the Battle of Agincourt, but not like, the battle at large, but like the blow by blow, essentially, of how, the French advanced and the British archers fell back, and just like literally breaking down the battle by a military historian, John Keegan.
Ooh.
And so I'm gonna take some elements from that battle, and I'm literally using elements from that battle to write 2 battle scenes, different battle scenes, but some of the like the tactics and the been really interesting. And today starting on the outlining. Tomorrow I should have books 2 and 3 outlined, so I can start writing it next week. Very excited.
Dang. Do you ever feel lazy? Having to sit down and outline rather than write, like you're not doing enough work.
Well, this is actually the first time that I've seriously done a lot of outlining before sitting down to write. Like before, I would take a week off between projects, and I did that. I took a week off this week, but for the goal specifically to outline, because the sort of the way the market is changing, a fast release schedule is much more effective than 6 months apart, 8 months apart. So I want to have these 3 books outlined, so I sit down, write them in 3-4 months, 5 at most, them edited, covers done, and then have them ready to release a month apart or something by mid 2018.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what everybody's hearing right now. I wish I could do something like that, but I just don't have the time. I'm trying the very best I can. I think I'll be close to where I need to be. That's considered fast release. But all right, what about you, RJ? Anything cool happened this week?
Other than trying to, I didn't actually get to shoot any. I went hunting over Thanksgiving, but didn't get to shoot any. Nope. Saw a lot of deer, but nothing big enough that we wanted to take. But trying to recover from Thanksgiving and just the total food massacre that happened as such.
I like how you say recover from Thanksgiving. That's me too.
And then I'm this close to finishing all the edits on Tempest, the next novel coming out in the series. So I'm this close to getting it done, but it's oh man, edits are my kryptonite. It takes me forever to get through the edit process.
Are you doing all the editing yourself?
Oh no. I'm more talking. I got it back from my editor and revising what she asked me to revise and adding different parts and correcting things. So that I guess more revision, not editing. No, I hired an editor. I actually am not very good at grammar.
Hey, there's 2 of us here now. All right, yeah, that's me too. I mean, learning French really helped my English grammar, believe it or not, because
I can believe it.
yeah, they told me it was going to happen. I didn't believe it, but it happened. So I got a little bit lucky there. So, Andy, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I heard so I was listening to a podcast today, and today I've heard the word moot twice. Not mute, but moot. Like the feeling is moot.
Yep, love the word.
Explain this word to me.
All right, so the word moot, I just Googled it because I can Google things really easily on my computer, but it means subject to debate, dispute, or uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Or not admitting a final decision. So when something is a moot point, it means it's debatable.
Could it also mean like it's not even worth talking about?
That's what I would have said it was if you'd made me guess.
Like it's
that's what I thought the context was.
Yeah, me
There's
too.
another one that says of little or no practical value, meaning, or relevance. Like
there we go.
It's purely academic.
Ah.
What happens if the sky turns purple tomorrow? It's a moot point. The sky's not going to turn purple.
So I guess you couldn't say, trying to make this relationship work is probably moot. You couldn't say that.
That's not the context that you use it in. Let me give you a couple of examples of moot in a sentence. It's a moot point. It means something it's not worth arguing over or talking about. It's a moot question, unimportant.
Probably like the one I just asked, huh? Like this question doesn't matter. But did you have a word of the day besides that one? That's the one I saw.
This is a great word. Now, I found this word because I was doing research for a character. So the word is skulk. S-K-U-L-K.
Skulk.
To keep
I've
out
heard
of
that
sight,
one.
typically with a sinister or cowardly motive. So spies, skulk. Thieves, skulk. Pickpockets, skulk.
Assassins, skulk.
They don't usually skulk because
Why
they're much
wouldn't
more
they
badass.
skulk?
No,
Oh.
it is a word that can be used for assassins. But it says usually with a sinister or cowardly motive. But I found this word because it means a group of foxes.
What?
It is a skulk of foxes. Yeah.
A skulk. Well, it makes sense. It makes sense because they do that to their prey, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that is that is what foxes do. And so I found this definition because I'm writing a mythological creature that's called an Enfield. E-N field. And it is a half fox, half eagle.
Cool.
It's one of those characters that I'd never heard of until I was doing research for this new book, and I found it, and I was like, "Oh, this serves this purpose perfectly." And so I'm going to write them in.
Oh, and that's what you posted on your. The picture was on your
exactly.
feed there. Oh, awesome.
So this creature hasn't been made before you, or it has been made before?
It was typically used in heraldic symbols. It's one of those creatures that you see on the coat of arms and the shields and stuff like that, but it's not a very commonly used mythological creature. In fact, there's not a whole lot of information available on it. So I decided, okay, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to take the temperaments of a fox and the temperaments of an eagle and make this character, or this animal character, and it's going to be one of the sort of supporting characters in my series. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, it's going to be. I thought it was going to be something they kill.
No, it's going to be the messenger service for the secret ops group.
That is freaking awesome.
I know, and so like the whole idea of this special forces group is that they use only mundane methods. There's no magic. So how would these people communicate without magic? You couldn't really have a system of semaphores, the flashing lights in hostile territory. You couldn't have messengers trying to find them in the middle of deserted areas. So how would I have it? And so this Enfield is given to the main character, Captain Eravon, when he's still a kit, very young, and the captain raises him, and so the fox always comes back to him. So that's the whole point of the messenger service, is that he sends the fox with a message, and the fox comes back to him. But it can fly because it's half eagle.
I think RJ and I just had a fantasy-gasm.
I think we did.
Yeah, that was cool. I didn't expect that. That was awesome.
Yeah, this story is. I'm really excited to start writing it because it's so familiar. Like anyone who reads it is going to recognize my style of writing, but it's going to be much more heroic fantasy, much more epic, and then it's
I'm
military.
excited to see that.
Yeah, I love military fiction, like the Belisarius series by David Drake and Eric Flint. It's more science fiction, historical fiction, but I loved it, and so I've always wanted to sort of try my hand at proper pitched battles and warfare. It's really complicated.
Yeah, it seems like it. I've always been a fan of science fiction military. So, like, I don't know if you are familiar with Halo or the video game.
Yeah.
They have a lot of military books out there that I read, and
I listened to the audiobook.
Oh, which one? The Fall of Reach?
The first 4, I think. Or
Okay,
5.
yeah. Dang, man. So I didn't know you played Halo.
I don't.
Okay. So you give me a headache sometimes. I don't understand. It does not compute. You read the books, but you don't play the games.
Mental whiplash.
To me, it's like someone who says, well, it's not really fair. Because you can be a fan of the Lord of the Rings from the movies and not have read the books because the movies are such a masterpiece. That's not fair to say. I don't have a comparison. Who reads video game books and doesn't play the video game? I don't understand.
Do you know, I just, someone gave me the first book, and I listened to it, and the narrator was very compelling. And of course, you know, it's like
Really?
it's the formation of the Spec Ops team, you know, the Fall of Reach.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
the
it was
best
really
part.
interesting. And so I continued listening to the next ones. And it was interesting for 2 or 3 more books, I think. And then they changed writers,
Eric
and
Nyland to
it kind of,
someone else. Yeah.
yeah, it kind of deviated and
Hmm.
lost me there.
Agreed. You know, you were also talking about your writing heroic fantasy. I think that's a great transition point into our topic of the day, which is
With great power comes great responsibility.
I was gonna say
Spider-Man!
I was just gonna say yeah, Spider-Man. Woo.
It's funny, actually. A little thing in the last Spider-Man movie, Homecoming, they purposely did not include that phrase. Like Uncle Ben didn't say it specifically because he said it in every other Spider-Man before.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't either. I don't even remember. Uncle Ben's not really in it though, right? Like,
exactly.
yeah. Is he? He's not in it at all though, right? Not even in memories.
Yeah, I don't think that, but they didn't want to get into his backstory because everyone knows his backstory from
Yeah, I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
it get you see it coming a mile away. Um, I particularly like the romance between him and Mary Jane. Um, so,
Yeah,
but I liked Emma Stone as Mary Jane, to be honest with you.
she was Gwen
So,
Stacy.
who?
Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man's first love.
Oh God, what about Mary Jane? Okay, I
Mary
haven't read the first.
Mary Jane is the one that everyone remembers, but chronologically speaking, Gwen Stacy was his first love and his first crush, and she died. Like in Amazing
Like in the movie.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
She died.
Okay,
He tried to save her, and it's sort of his survivor's guilt or his guilty thing. He always feels the guilt over her death and the death of her
okay.
father.
See, I remember wondering why her name was different now that you mention it, and I just thought it was them trying to be different. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so with great power comes great responsibility. I'm very strong, and I don't hit a lot of people. Yeah.
So I guess you're using your little tiny bit of power responsibly.
Yes, I am. I'm walking through Walmart. I'm like, I could just seriously just like reach out and smack that old lady in the face, but I'm not.
Even though she took the last ham.
Yep, the last damn ham.
Yeah, with Christmas. Now, what's cool about this topic, and it's you know, everyone knows it from Spider-Man, but it's something that really is a constant in our daily lives. Like with great power, everyone immediately thinks of superpowers because of Spider-Man. But
I do.
power is something that can be much smaller. It can be the ability to help someone in some small way. You know, you see someone on the street, a homeless guy, a homeless vet, someone begging for some change. You have the ability to help them. And it's your responsibility to at least consider it. You may decide, okay, this is not the best choice for me or for them, or I can't do it, or, you know, maybe you turn away that responsibility for the wrong reasons. But you have, you know, it's your responsibility with that power to consider it.
When you
Someone
brought
else.
that up, when you brought that up, that's why you have me. I'm always ready to talk. When you brought up that, it made me think of police officers, you know, because they do have a significant amount of power and they can easily abuse that, which we've seen. I'm not going to bring up that debate. I know that's a big one right there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's possible. And I have a really good friend who is in Glendale, California, and he is a police officer. I went to high school with this guy. He's 2 years younger than me, and it's so weird to see him in his police uniform. And he is my definition of a good cop. He has even talked to me about people abusing their power as a police officer, and not in the ways you would think. Some of them that he never told me names or anything. Obviously, like it wouldn't matter. He talked about how they would use their power to pick up women with their uniform, and I thought that was interesting. I mean, is that ethical? I mean, it seems, I don't know. I thought it's just an interesting take on it. I don't know. Somebody else talk. I'm pulling it, Andy. I'm gonna go off on another tangent, which I'm known for. RJ,
Well,
I'm sorry.
no worries. Like you said, Stevie, you're a big guy, strong guy who can, even though you are the gnome, granted,
Yep. Right.
And you've
God
studied
dang it.
you've studied martial arts, so you have the ability to really
Punch that
inflict
grandma.
some damage on somebody.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm sure your martial arts teachers taught you that. That is a responsibility on where to use that. So where would you step in? If you're in the grocery store and you see somebody trying to rob the place, or you see somebody on the street, somebody screaming, "Help me!" What do you do in that situation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something a lot of people don't know about me is I'm actually a concealed carrier as well. So my situation with martial arts is a little bit different because I have a different responsibility. And what they taught us in the class was it's best to stay out of it, and because you don't know the context. And the teacher gave this really interesting. He was like, "So you see a man beating on a woman," and we're like, "Yeah, we shoot him, we shoot him." Right? He's beating her with a crowbar. And he was like, "Well, you don't know if she was the one holding the crowbar first." And I mean, obviously, it's not a perfect example, but the option is to call the police. That's the best option. So it was his way of like, because I'm not trigger happy, but I guess he's told that story for people who would be trigger happy. Obviously, I've never shot anyone, so I'm not trigger happy.
That was one of those. I think it was like a joke on the John Oliver show. It's with great firepower comes great responsibility. But that's actually a really good example of what it means to have great power, great responsibility. You can't just step in and intervene. You can't just assume that the right thing to do is to do something.
Yeah, to use deadly force.
You have to be responsible. You have to think about all the possible outcomes. And that's actually one of the things that they really sort of bring out in the Spider-Man comics. When they're teaching new heroes, they always say, protect the bystanders. You've got to be aware of the people around you. The sort of the trigger happy superhero, he destroys the robot or the villain's monster, and then sends it crashing onto a bunch of bystanders. He just caused a bunch of injury, a bunch of harm, killed people by trying to do the right thing. So it's that responsibility not just to immediately focus on what's in front of you, but to be aware of everything and how your actions could potentially injure or harm people around you.
And that's the sucky part of being a superhero. You actually have to think about that stuff.
Yeah, it's like in the Incredibles where they sued Mr. Incredible for saving the guy. I mean, it's not exactly like that, but I mean, you'd think he saved the guy. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. He could do it, and he did it. I mean, the guy didn't die, but then he sues, and then it goes downhill from there, obviously. But
yeah,
I love that movie,
and I'm excited for the sequel.
For number
yeah,
2?
me too. Oh yeah, yes. That was one of the first movies me and my girlfriend watched together. Actually, it was less romantic, more us like just laughing our asses off, So that's a good memory. That's a good movie. But yeah, I love that example. I never would have thought about that. The Incredibles.
Yeah, randomness going on in here. Nothing really intelligent.
No, I think it was. I like that. I like it. It's something. You have kids?
2 of them.
2? Okay, I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So bring that into fantasy. It seems like at least me, when I'm writing fantasy, it's easier to say the line's easier to define, right? Somebody's beating up on somebody, you should stop them, because in my mind, you're looking at fantasy and medieval world where there's a definite advantage where the soldier or the bad guy or whoever has the sword or the skills or the magic versus a quote unquote peasant or whoever who doesn't. Or they're really just picking on somebody, but is that a good distinction, or is it still comparable?
It's a good point. And in fantasy, it's actually one of the things that is often used to define sort of the antagonist from the protagonist is the integrity. We were talking with Lindsay a couple of days ago about one of the traits, the traits of being a hero, and one of them is integrity, and integrity is what makes you take responsibility, not only for protecting, but also for your own actions. You have the responsibility to, you have the power. What you do with that power, you have to also take responsibility for. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people in modern society, or in today's society, it's like, well, I have all this power, I'm going to use it, and then when the consequences come around, they're like, oh crap, why, this is unfair. When that's the real truth, is that they have this power, this ability, whether it's a firepower, or whether it's martial arts, or whether it's political power, or whatever kind of power it is, you have to take responsibility for your actions and how they affect other people.
I agree. And like in your everyday life, if you see something suspicious, you're told to report it too. I mean, that you could be a hero and save hundreds of people and never know it just by making a simple phone call. Hey, there's something suspicious going on over here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you want to send somebody to check it out or not.
Yeah.
I've actually thought of the two things that we're talking about. With great responsibility comes with great power comes great responsibility. What about parents raising their children?
I was just about to talk about that.
Really?
Yeah, I was just about to bring it up. A couple of my siblings, they have issues with the way that my parents raised us, and so they brought the grievances to my parents, and my parents took responsibility. They said, for this, we're sorry, we were doing the best we can, or whatever, but they took responsibility for their actions. Other people that I know, they did that with their parents. They have these grievances, and their parents were like, hey, I didn't take responsibility for it. And there is that there's no such thing as a parenting manual. Every parenting book out there gives you helpful hints, and there's no way to make it, it doesn't, the kids don't come with an instruction manual. So all you can do is the best you can do. And you're guaranteed to screw up more often than not. I'm sure, Ryan, you've heard that too.
Oh yes.
And so, when you make these decisions for your kids, or these decisions that affect your kids, eventually you're going to have to take responsibility for them. So that knowing that kind of helps you be a little bit more cautious with the decisions you make, or at least me. When I do something that I think is for the benefit of my kids, I have to think, okay, it looks like it'll help them now, but will it actually help them not just now, tomorrow, but next week, next year? It makes decisions a lot more difficult, a lot more challenging, but in a way it does help you to approach them with much more of a long-term vision.
Mm-hmm. And they watch everything you do and everything you say. So it really brought a light into what I do and everything I say and how I talk. And I mean, they're going to have to deal with the accent. I don't know if that'll pass on or not, but
yeah. How did you get that accent? I don't have that accent. And I was born and raised in Texas until I was 15.
I was in West Texas. I don't know if that changes anything or not.
Maybe so, because I do not have that. I don't even think I could fake it at this point. I mean, I can do like I guess it's not considered racist, but statist. Okay, I'm gonna show. I'm being stupid.
Y'all get in the truck and gone up to the big house like that.
That's pretty good, yeah. But I can tell a Texan from a Tennessean, Tennessean.
Yeah, that's right, Tennessean.
I mean, it's a big difference, and I've noticed that California doesn't have a really like an accent because it's like a melange.
Yeah,
melting pot. Yeah. New York has an accent. So anyway, back to this tangent is brought to you by Stevie Collier. I don't have any experience with kids, but I do have a dog.
Same thing.
And I actually think another big thing is we are responsible for our animals, and I'm a big person on animal cruelty. I'm not saying that I like animal cruelty. I worded that correctly.
Stevie's big on animal cruelty.
I'm big on animal cruelty. I love dog fights. Oh boy. No, I am against it. And you know what? I'll get pissed if all right. People don't, okay, never mind. I like animals, and I feel like people should treat their animals better because they are a big responsibility. They do have, they can feel. And people who leave in Texas, it's a big thing to leave your dog in a car.
Really?
Yes.
People, as in people do that?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call them people. I'd call them pieces of shit. But yeah. Yeah. It's a big, and it's actually illegal to break a window in Texas to save a dog. In
Really?
California, it is not.
Oh yeah, no. California is like they'll break your car.
Yeah.
To get the dog out.
It's very irritating. Texas, it's against the law, but screw the law. I'm going to break that damn window. It's my responsibility to protect that animal.
Well, that's a great point. So where does the right thing to do versus against the law?
Yeah.
Everybody's got a line, right? Where's that line for what you're doing and wherever you are in your situation?
Yeah.
So
but then if you make the decision to contravene the law, even if it's for a good cause, like if it's something that you believe in, you have to take responsibility for that action, understanding that you broke the law.
Unless you move to Mexico.
Exactly. Or California.
With that dog. Yeah.
And that also goes for politics. There's a lot of political decisions that are really affected from the ground up. The House of Representatives have an inordinate amount of power, a lot more than a lot of people believe. And a lot of decisions are passed because of, people don't care. People don't vote on their representative because they don't feel it's important or as important as voting for a senator or for the president. And they don't weigh in on local laws, even if they feel like, well, this law doesn't affect me, or, they just don't invest in learning more about local politics. And then they get mad or they are affected by these decisions that are made or, without them. They protest them, but it's sort of like the latest election. People were so shocked when Trump was elected, but all of the people who could have voted against him just didn't vote. They said, well, someone else will. They had the power to vote for or against, but they didn't. They didn't take responsibility. And then they were up in arms and demonstrating and protesting and all of that. But they could have done something. Yeah, exactly. It's too late. You should have acted when you had the chance.
Yeah, I'm big on voting. I'm not going to say who I voted for, but I am big on voting because I took a political science class in a community college, but it was very eye-opening to me how many people don't vote, especially the younger generation, and I wanted to be different. And so any chance I've had to vote, I voted. So I am proud of that. And that's also a great power that we have, like you said, Andy, is to vote. And a lot of people believe that they don't have a whole lot of power, but there's a Japanese saying, I don't know what it is, but piles of ash built up over time makes a mountain. So you have all these votes. Yeah, I wish I knew it in Japanese. Oh my, y'all would crap your pants if I just said that in Japanese. You're like, don't Andy, stop googling things, man. I know what you're doing.
I can actually say it with the proper accent.
He's just got to rub that in my face.
Yeah.
Because he was born and raised in Japan. Yeah, he's a banana. He's a reverse banana.
Reverse banana? What?
Yeah, you're white on the outside, yellow on the inside.
See, that's so racist. You don't say yellow. You haven't been able to say yellow for like 100 years now.
Well, it's been said, all right? It's been said.
Yeah.
And there goes the Fantasy Fiends podcast.
Yeah. Well, no. Before, to reel it back in a little bit, as sort of a takeaway, if there is something going on in your state, in your city, even in the country that you want changed, take action, take responsibility, write your representatives who are literally supposed to be working for the people, write Congress, write letters, get involved somehow and make that change. Take responsibility for your city, for your state. Don't just complain because there's a law that you dislike. Stevie, this law about dogs, start trying to do something about it. Start taking it up with the Senate, the Texas House of Representatives, and see if there is a way that you can get this dog law changed.
I guess it never bothered me because I knew I would just break down the damn window anyway.
Right.
So, but you're right. But the reason to change it would be for people who are scared to break down the window because they don't want to break the law.
Yeah.
So should we go ahead and do the reading?
Yeah, for sure.
That because it is getting on up there.
Yes.
Let me find it
for
real
sure.
quick.
All right, so Ryan, as is our wont, you are the director. Tell us what parts to read.
Okay, so it's written in first person, so we've got a couple of choices there. There's I can either narrate, and one of you do Jayton's voice, who's the main character, or I can just read that whole part. Either way,
Well,
and then
you're the director, Ryan. So just give us our parts. Help us get into character.
All right. So, who wants to do more accents?
Oh,
Me.
Andy. Andy.
Okay. So I guess Andy, you do Gilmer, who I think you did in your other reading of it, and that's kind of a posh. You can do an English accent if you want.
Okay.
Oh man.
And those are the red ones in the file I sent you.
Okay.
Anton is blue, and he's more, I guess, down to earth. You can use kind of really any accent you want, but just think of like a heavy thinker who it's just he's not going to mince words, but he's going to say what he means, and I guess talk a little slower.
That seems like Stevie.
Okay, I'll do that one.
And then the int, the monster's got a line in there, and you can play with that however you want to.
Is that similar to Tolkien's int?
Not even close. Not even close. It's it's a horned monster, if you will. Just like a monster made of horns, and then can shoot lava, kind of. How about that?
Awesome. Freaking out. Very fantasy. Very fantasy. Not gonna lie.
That deep sort of boomy voice that Stevie always does really well.
Oh yeah. I call that my Stormfather voice from.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do that one too. Then
what color is he?
Purple.
Purple. Okay, perfect. I'll do that.
Okay, so then let's do. Andy, why don't you do the Jayton's, the speaking parts, and I'll be his voice in his head. So it's all black quotes. I didn't color code him.
What kind of accents does he have?
I'll let you pick. It's not in my head he talks like me, but I don't know. Nobody wants to. So you can run loud through.
I finally get to pull out my Texan accent. Thank you very much.
That's not bad. I don't think it's bad.
Good.
You
all right. You ready?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
I sat bolt upright in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and out of breath. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong.
Gilmer, Anton, wake up. Something's wrong.
That's me, master of the obvious. They both snorted awake. Gilmer groggily said,
"Go back to sleep, Jay. It's 1 a.m. It was a nightmare."
I'm going to hear that every time I write his voice now. That's
so good.
Awesome.
It's good.
Using telekinesis, I turned on the bathroom faucet, then moved my hands to each side, sending the streams at my two friends. That got them moving. Angry, but moving.
Ugh, what the hell, man? What's wrong?
Gilmer exclaimed. Anton just grumbled.
Get your fatigues on and follow me. I'll explain on the way.
After taking way too long to get dressed, they grudgingly fell in behind me as I sprinted out the door. Strength pushed me too fast for them, so I slowed down slightly not to lose them.
Turn here.
I said, ducking right into a hallway and kept going.
Turn again.
This time left. Stairs.
Jay.
Anton grunted out between breaths.
You still haven't told us what's going on.
I shook my head, not slowing down.
I'm not sure. If you got me out of bed for nothing,
Gilmer said, huffing behind me up the steps,
you won't be happy.
I shook my head again.
It's not nothing. There's something wrong. Something here that shouldn't be, and it's just wrong. Turn right.
Should we sound an alarm?
Anton asked.
What? And tell them Jay has indigestion?
Gilmer said. We took several more turns, up, down, left, right. By now, I was so confused I had no idea where we were. All I knew was where I was supposed to go. I couldn't explain it. I just knew. Just as we were about to round a corner, that same instinct sent me to a screeching halt, with Gilmer and Anton almost ramming into me, clutching their chests and sliding down the cold gray wall. I guess I had still been moving pretty fast, even though I'd slowed down for them.
There's one around the corner.
I hissed. They both got serious. Anton whispered.
Jay, one what?
I don't know, damn it, but it's there. I can feel it. Okay then, smartass, what do we do? We kill it.
Okay, how?
I'll take point. You guys flank me.
Deal.
Anton pulled some stone away from the walls, lacing his hands with rock, giving him the impression he was wearing gray gloves. Gilmer slowed his breathing, and I could tell he was getting ready to use fire. I readied energy and concentrated on the spot between my eyes. The hammer blow was more like a sharp poke this time. I guess training paid off. I opened my eyes to whiteness as the Ignis took effect. It may have been overkill, but hey, I didn't know what we were going up against. Instantly, I felt Gilmer and Anton steady themselves. Breathing slowed, stance exuding confidence, their power boosting up.
We're behind you, Jayton Baird.
Anton said, the rock around him vibrating. Ignis Oculus at work. Amazing. Raising my hand, I counted down on my fingers. 1, 2, 3. And we eased slowly around the corner. Anton on my right and Gilmer on my left. Then we almost soiled ourselves. Something blocked our way. A very large something that seemed to be made of horns that stuck out at all angles all over its humanoid body, like a moving thorn bush. Glowing red eyes burned from beneath the holes on what I assumed was its head. Its overlarge hands glowed too, and I could feel the heat radiating off it from the 20 yards that separated us. The thing was about to go into a door, but at our sudden appearance, it just froze. Must have spooked him.
Guys, we're in trouble. That's an int.
Gilmer whispered, which was bad. Extremely hard to kill because of their horn armor. They were powerful fire users, rivaling that of the highest level Phoenix. To top it off, they had what was called the Dreamer power. If you were asleep when an int uses this power, you won't wake up, but then they kill and eat you. But for the life of me, I couldn't remember how to kill one.
Okay, so how do we kill it?
I whispered back.
No idea. A lot of help you are, Gilmer. You're the one with the fire eyes. Use the damn things.
Oh, yeah. And then the int laughed. I think, anyway. It wasn't a ha-ha sort of laugh. It was more a I'm about to eat your face off laugh. In a deep voice mixed with some odd clicking noises, it said,
I was to kill the one in this room. How lucky for me that you showed up. Now I have 3 more to sate my hunger. Your blood will fill me up nicely. Oh, yes. And then I can snack on the girl.
The int took one step towards us and roared, thrusting its fist in front of it, sending 2 cannonball-sized streams of red energy screeching towards us. Energy shield, I heard, and I pulled my palms up and repeated,
Energy shield.
Narrowly bringing a half dome in front of us before the int's red energy slammed into it, sliding us back a few feet. Anton flung shards of rock around one side of the shield while Gilmer shot a stream of fire around the other. Both attacks bounced uselessly off the int's horns, but they kept up the barrage to at least distract it. I was too busy concentrating on whatever it was that the int flung at us because it wasn't fire or energy. Fire and energy wouldn't build up on my shield, staying red hot and weighing down my arms. It wasn't liquid, but it wasn't solid either, like snot. Hot, molten snot. The goo crept closer to the edges of my shield. If it got around, we were goners.
Gilmer, you sure you don't remember how to kill it?
I had to yell over the noise of the battle, the heat cracking the stone walls. Between fireballs, Gilmer shouted back,
No, I never expected to actually see one.
The material started dripping to the floor, and we had to back up further from the heat.
Ow!
Gilmer screamed as some caught his shirt on fire, and he beat it out.
Anton, any ideas?
No, we don't have any water. We could put it out, I think, like a fire.
Ugh.
I said, pouring more power to the shield, trying to keep the now advancing monster at bay, who continued to roar while slowly moving towards us and shooting molten fire at us. He must have been using the Dreamer power. We were making such a racket, the whole tower should have been awake. Several explosions sounded elsewhere in the tower. Apparently there was more than one. Crap.
Damn it! How do you kill an int?
I screamed in frustration. Poke out its eyes, I heard in my head. Ha! It took directions. Who knew? Thank you, Ignis. Yeehaw!
Gilmer, switch to air. Try to blow him back and cool this crap he's throwing.
I said. He shifted his stance, squared his shoulders, then thrust his hands and upper body forward. Boosted by the Ignis, a roar of wind filled the tunnel, and I felt the creature give a little from the unexpected push, backing up a couple of strides and roaring in defiance, pouring more power into its attack.
Keep it up, Gilmer. Anton, I need 2 earth spears. When I split the shield, hit it in its eyes. Ready?
He nodded as 2 pointed javelins of gray stone appeared behind my head.
Wait for my signal.
Concentrating hard, I imagined the molten material turning to water. Nothing happened.
Come on, damn it!
Pushing more energy out, I let out a roar. 10 seconds later, the transition took effect, and the lava-like substance burst into water, streaming and sloshing all over the floor. Immediately, I dropped to the floor and split the shield, reaching out with telekinesis to hold the thing in place. We would only have seconds. It was too strong. Already, the Ent was fighting my hold and winning.
Now, Anton!
I shouted, then whoosh. I saw the confused creature's eyes for only a second before the spears hit, sending it flat on its back. But pure fury was sent our way in the form of a death scream and several hundred quill-like projectiles.
Duck!
Ant screamed, but I knew that wouldn't be enough. Freeze sounded in my head, and I rose my hands again, this time bringing up a wall of ice between us and the missiles. Thunk, 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 times 1,000 as the horns embedded themselves into the ice. All of us squealed in pain as 4 or 5 embedded themselves in our calves. Evidently, I wasn't fast enough. Dropping my hands, the ice melted, sending the horns clattering to the floor. Gilmer set about healing us.
This isn't over,
I said, looking around.
Something else is here, or someone.
Both of them tensed.
Dramatic scene.
Very nice.
One
Great.
thing that I totally loved about this story, I reviewed this story, and I posted the review on my blog, and it reminded me so much of Avatar. Like I had that vision in my head, of the flowing movements of, Aang doing those movements and the fire, like all of that. It was so cool. And then of course it's in a fantasy world, so it's awesome.
It reminded me of a Dungeons and Dragons encounter. Like you're fighting a monster with your friends, and then you have the healer at the end who kind of, boosts up your health a little bit after, you've taken a lot of damage. But I love Andy knows I'm a big fan of creature creation, and I loved the Ent. I loved it. Actually, it was kind of creepy to me. Like something about red eyes has always bothered me ever since I was little, and I picked up a Stephen King book. It was Cujo, and there's a part with like it's talking about a kid, and there's like red eyes on the other corner of the room. Well, long story short, my mother took the book away from me. So, which was good, but yeah, I love the Ent. I love the Ent. Good job on that.
Thanks.
So Ryan, how long do I have to wait before book 2 is ready for me to read?
Oh, probably about 6 more months. Oh, yeah. So with editing, yeah. I plan on releasing it about June of next year. I've got a lot of it written, thankfully. I've got to rework some of it, do a little more outlining, which I'm a big fan of. And make it work. Oh yeah, I love outlining.
I took you as a pantser, I gotta say.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't know why.
I'm wearing pants now, but that's all right.
Okay, yeah, it's true.
I figured I'd be PC on the video.
I hope you're wearing pants. You never know.
Oh yeah. Well, when I started, I was a pantser, but then I found out I couldn't get anywhere I wanted to go. So then I read a book by Steve Warner, I believe. It's his 9-day novel series, and it was about outlining. And I was like, I think I can use this. And then from there, I was able to put together my thoughts on the outline, and then I found I could actually write the scenes much faster. Now I add stuff. I'm not I wrote this down in the outline. That's what I'm going to do. I ad lib and move around within that, but it at least gets me where when I sit down, I can know what I'm going to write.
Could you type that book in the chat, please? I'd like to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me. I got to find the chat. Actually, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's no big deal if you can't find it. But yeah, I think Andy and I both really enjoyed that, especially since you let Andy do the accents. So, which Andy, you did an excellent job. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Thank you. Every time I go to Texas, I come back with an accent. So it comes naturally to me.
What? That's not fair. I maybe I fight it. I don't know.
Rebel against the cause, man.
But my friend, his last name is Beaver. That's a Texas name right there. Beaver, Wesley Beaver, who is actually who gave me the idea for the 4 territories. Believe it or not. we got, turned at the beach, and we were like exchanging story ideas, and he gave me this idea. I was like, can I use that? And he's like, yeah, sure. I don't think I ever expected it to turn into a full-length novel. But all right. So any final thoughts, guys?
I'm good.
No?
I feel like I've spoken more than enough for this whole podcast.
Andy, you've done excellent. I've never heard you talk this much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to thank you guys for having me on. I've had a blast.
Well, I wish I didn't. I didn't have a good time. No, I had a great time. Your face. Anyway, so I think I've been calling you RJ this whole time. I'm guessing it's Ryan.
Yes.
Okay,
But,
I should have been calling you.
Oh, it's fine. RJ, Ryan, either one works. RJ is my pen name, if you will.
Okay, so maybe it was good that I was calling you RJ, so all the new readers would get that stuck in their head. So RJ, where can they find you? You
can find me at RJ Batla, BATLA.com, or on the Book of Faces at RJ Batla Author. I'm on Twitter, but I'm not real active on Twitter. It's RJ Batla Author. I guess that's all everywhere I am on the computer. But
computer,
one of the newfangled devices.
Your Texas is showing,
man. I might have fasted a little bit there. And then just all my books are on Amazon. They're on in KU. I'm not going wide yet. Just it's you can type in RJ Batla or Fire Eyes Awakened or Against the Beast on Amazon. You'll find it. Find my author page. I'm on Goodreads too. Anywhere all the cool kids hang out.
Yeah. The Beast Awakens, is that a prequel?
It is a prequel. So one of the characters in Fire Eyes Awakened, the trainer, Jayton's trainer, his main mentor, if you will, he's the main character in Against the Beast.
Okay. So
it's kind of his origin story, and that's the series title for that group of books is the Terra Unum Origins series. So each of them, a lot of the main characters in Fire Eyes Awakened, and in the main series, I'm going to do an origin story of each of those, and that's Tempest, like you were talking earlier. That's the ocean water users. That's what they're called, and her name's Celeste Dumas, and that's going to be the next book I put out before the year ends. I don't care if it's December 31st. That book's coming out before 2017's over.
Very nice. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and end it here. RJ or Ryan, fellow Texan, thank you so much for being on the show. It has been an absolute pleasure. We got to talk about poop, a little bit of penis here and there. It's been great. Everything to make a great show. Andy, thank you for being here, man. You're always welcome on the Fantasy Fiends podcast. I really love having you on the show. Yeah, you know how I am. Anyway, that got weird. Okay.
Yeah, super
Thanks,
weird.
guys, for watching. If you're on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you are listening through iTunes, please leave a review. If not, never mind. This kids listen to this show. All right, that's it. Have a fantastical day.
Evening, Stevie. It's evening for most people.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Unless you're downloading the podcast tomorrow, in which refer to Stevie's previous comment. Bye.